going on, everyone? Um, I hope you all can hear me correctly because it's been windy all day today, and I'm outside, just walking at the park, thinking about things that deeply bother, just thinking about things that deeply bothers me and putting it in like video form as like, I guess, therapy or whatever, kind of like one of those videos that I make where it's just me like talking on the camera. And so, as you've already read the title of this video on basically why I hate other people's, mentalities when it comes to relationships, is that it's largely, the reasons why, committed relationships are very unsuccessful, especially in today's time. And I honestly feel like it's largely based off of, views and ideology points when it comes to relationships. Like for example, there's this guy I know that believes that it's okay to sleep with other people's partners simply because they're not married. Even when you're in a relationship and you're not married to your significant other, it's okay to cheat. Like, what's the point of being in a relationship if you don't see yourself married to that person? Like, it's just a waste of time. And then another example that I can give is that there's this one guy. He believes that it's pretty idiotic to let your girl go on an all-girls trip because she's immediately, like gonna cheat on somebody or whatever the fuck. And I also think it's pretty stupid because what's the point of being in a relationship if you can't even fully trust them? Like, it's just really stupid. And based off of those examples that I gave, it should give you, like some sort of image and like some sort of understanding that a lot of failed relationships is based off of those viewpoints, and those are the actual, issues why those relationships are so unsuccessful. Like, if I was in a relationship, right, I would make sure that me and that person, like actually have chemistry for each other, and make sure that person is like actually for me before we actually, take it to a serious level. Like, the only relationship that I can think of is the relationship between, my Dia and her husband. They actually have chemistry, and they actually, value each other. And they hardly or never really had any fights whatsoever. It still made me realize that it's still possible to have, thriving and working relationships when it doesn't necessarily need to be complicated in the first place. Psychology always tells us that if a man or woman or both, or like, let's say a woman, right? If a woman wants to ever, like fall in love with a man, she wouldn't want them to spoil her. Because if you're that into them, you wouldn't want them to do anything for them. And that's where a lot of some women get it mixed up, because they want a man to like spoil them or whatever. But a man has to be like really, really into you first in order for that to happen. And if that actually happens, are you gonna reciprocate the same feelings? Probably not. You both actually have to like talk and get to know each other before, things ending up, taking to the next level, really. And that's a realization, and that's something that everyone needs to, understand. But yeah, it really does seem like it's gonna get worse over time. But I have been noticing that a lot more people today is, finally waking up and realizing that, oh, this person may be not for me, or this person may be toxic or whatever. And so either they are rejecting them more, or they really seem to finally understand that that person maybe just not for them, and they need to find somebody that is, exactly for them, really. But yeah, that's basically all I have for this video. So yeah, thanks for being here.